All right. Here, this is what we're going to do. This is all oral exam preparation stuff for you. So, for your oral exam prep, write down oral exam preparation.
So this is for this year?
This is for HSC in general. This is for HSC in general. The reason I'm recording it is because it's going to help you with your stuff moving ahead as well. Oral exam preparation, yeah, for all of your oral exams.
Even for next year?
Even for next year, yeah. It's the same stuff. The only thing that changes is that you get better and better at it. Okay? So, you need to know about the concepts of music. Call out the concepts of music for me. Duration. Pitch. Structure. Tone, color. What else? Dynamics and expressive techniques. What else? Texture. You did texture with Miss Singleton on layers. Layers of sound. All right. All of the oral exams are always about the concepts of music. What? Here we go. Let's put a star on it. There you go. There's a nice looking star. Right? The star signifies it is always, the questions are always about the concepts of music. Everyone say it. The questions are always about the concepts of music. So, it doesn't matter what it asks you, it's always about the concepts of music. Okay? So, for you to do well in the oral exams, you need to know the concepts of music. You need to know them, you need to know them well. When you see duration, your brain needs to trigger off a whole heap of things that relate to duration. For example, if I say organising breakfast. It's in the morning, you've got to organise breakfast. What does your brain trigger off? Bacon and eggs. Love it. Have it every morning.
Pancakes.
Pancakes. Love them. Toast. What else? Cereal. Fruit. Milk. Yogurt. Can you see how your brain just knows, yeah, if I'm doing breakfast, okay, here's the stuff that I will do for breakfast. So you need to get to that level of understanding of the concepts of music. If you're looking at the concepts and you're going, ¿qué? No sé? How do you say I don't know in French? Say that again? Je ne sais pas. If you look at the oral concepts and that's what you're saying, that's an indication of what? You don't know. And so what do you need to do? Yeah. What do you have to do? Study it. Okay? So, you need to know the concepts of music. The second thing that gets you marks is detail. Detail. The more detailed your observations are, the better you're going to do. So provide detail. How do you provide detail? What did we do recently? The oral hit list. I can't remember the questions, even though I did them. What's in the oral hit list? What is it? What is it doing? What is its... I did this last time as well. What is its role? No apostrophe. How does it sound? Where did you hear it? Was that it? Yeah. Okay. We can add an extra thing to this. It wasn't really part of the hit list, but it's an extra thing. So add to it, how does this relate to the question? This is an important one because how it relates to the question is the difference between getting the upper marks and getting the lower marks. Because you can do all of this really well, so you can answer what is it doing, what is its role, how does it sound, where did you hear it, but if you're not answering the question, then you miss out on getting the marks. You pick up marks because you're doing an observation. Make sense? Okay. The questions in an exam are going to be things like, discuss the use of duration in this excerpt, or how does the composer use pitch in this example? It could be outline the structure, using the concepts of music, outline the structure of this excerpt. It is always about the concepts of music, but sometimes they throw in a couple of curveballs, right? And what are the exam questions always about? The concepts of music. So it doesn't matter how they ask it, they're always asking about the concepts of music. But the curveballs, do you know what a curveball is? You know, in baseball, they throw, when they pitch the ball, and they pitch the ball, and if it comes nice and straight, it's easy to hit because you can see it coming towards you. But these baseballers are really good at they throw the ball that way, and all of a sudden it curves back around, so you don't know where it's going to come by the time you get there, right? So it's coming, but you don't know how to handle it. So here are the other ways that they ask questions. They'll ask about unity, contrast, and variety. Unity, contrast, and variety. For reference, this is on page 93 from your textbook. That's a great question. I'm going to tell you all about it in a moment. So, sometimes what they will say is, how does the composer create unity in this excerpt? But what are they really asking? No, what are the exams always about? The concepts of music. So when it says, discuss, or how does the composer create unity in this excerpt, they're really saying to you, tell me how the composer uses unity through the concepts of music.
But what does unity mean?
Great question. We need to understand what unity is. You need to understand what contrast is. You need to understand what variety is. What does union mean? If you get married in holy union, what does that mean? Together. All right. So think of together. Unity is maintaining sameness, what is the same, throughout a piece of music. So unity is about what keeps this piece of music sounding the same. Does that make sense? We'll flesh these out a little bit more in some detail. Actually, let's just do it now. Here are some things that would keep it the same. Let's say there's a riff or an ostinato pattern that keeps repeating. If it keeps repeating, is it creating a difference or is it keeping it the same? Keeping it the same. Other things that keep it the same instruments. Same instruments throughout the song. For example, I'm just pulling these out of my head, right? Ed Sheeran, typically has, what are the instruments? If he's just him by himself, what's he going to have? Acoustic, guitar, and voice. He does other instruments and so on, right? But having the same instruments throughout a piece of music creates unity. It creates a sameness. Sometimes you have repeated drum patterns. Do you know how a song can have the same drum pattern going throughout the same way? Same with this, you could have a repeated strumming pattern. In fact, think of anything that's repeated. Anything that's repeated creates unity. Can I underline that? Oh yeah, there you go. So anything that's repeated creates unity. Some other examples are that you have the same, what they call harmonic pattern, which is the same chord patterns. You can have repeated sections of music. Repeated sections. So you know how usually you might have verse 1 and then you have verse 2. And typically, what changes between verse 1 and verse 2 in, say, a pop song? What's going to change in there? The lyrics. What about everything else? Is it common that everything else pretty much stays the same? It creates unity. Think of consistent layers of sound. So with the instruments, same instruments, the instruments are creating the same texture, same layers. All right, so the first curveball that they'll throw at you is unity. How does the composer create unity? It's really asking you, using the concepts of music, tell me what stays the same or what is repeated. Because repetition creates unity. In fact, all of you wearing the same uniform creates unity amongst all the students. That's why we know where all the cert-on students are, because they're unified by the same uniform. Hence the name uniform, unity, union. Anything with a UN in front of it like that means together. Same. Yeah. Similarity, same.
Also communion would be the same too.
Community. Yeah, I guess so, yeah. Because you're together, something is bringing you together. So we have a cert-on community. Yeah. And the thing that brings everyone together, it's the same, is that we share the same values and we belong in one way, or connected in one way to the same school. Like there is a Marist community which has all the Marist traditions, and that unifies everyone. Okay? So, that's unity. Number 2 is contrast. What does contrast mean? Differences. Differences. Think of changes in the music. Changes. So even though you are all in unity because you're all wearing the same school uniform, if we look at the detail, you have lots of differences. So some students are wearing glasses, some are not wearing glasses. Some of you have your hair tied back, some of you have it tied in a bun, some of you are wearing your blazer, some of you got your jumper. So even though you're all wearing the same uniform, there's actually a lot of contrast, a lot of differences. So musically, some of the things that can happen are, let's go, changes in chords, harmony. So you know how sometimes a song is sounding nice and happy, and all of a sudden there's a big shift, there's a change, and it just sounds different? All right, that's often one of the things that can happen, is that there's a change in harmony or a change in chord progression. You can have changes in tempo, the speed of the music. You can have changes in the accompaniment. For example, let's use the Ed Sheeran example. What can happen is that in the verses, he might be playing his guitar and plucking the strings, pluck, 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 pluck. Sounds like a chicken, right? Pluck, 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 pluck. And then he gets to the chorus and he starts strumming. That's a change. It's the same instrument, but what he's doing on the instrument is a change. Maybe in the verses he's singing in his low register and he gets to the chorus and he sings up in a high register. That's a change. It creates contrast. So think of changes in strumming pattern, changes in voice or instrument register. So by that I mean that maybe you're playing on the low end of the piano at the start of the song and then you go to the high end of the piano later on. Have you ever noticed, this happens a fair bit in pop songs, they might sing the chorus, and in the chorus, after it's repeated a couple of times, they have something different in the background as well. So they sing the chorus, then they sing it again, but there's a backup singer doing a different counter melody or something different. So think of changes in a chorus of a song where maybe there's different vocal lines. Maybe the chorus stays the same, but the lead singer does something over the top of it. Does that make sense, girls? Yeah? So changes in anything. Even little changes, like changes in a drum pattern. So let's say that the drummer's going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and like that, and all of a sudden there's a change and it goes like this. So that is a little change. It's small, but at this level, one of the things that gets you marks is providing detail. Right? So it doesn't matter how little it is. It could be in verse 1 she sings all the notes straight, and in verse 2 she adds vibrato to the long notes. That's a difference. Maybe in the verses all the notes are short, and then in the chorus they're long. That's a difference. All of that is used to create contrast. Why do you want to create contrast in a song or in a piece of music? For variety, yeah. Otherwise, what happens if it's all the same? What happens if it's so unified it's all the same? It gets boring. And what is your tolerance for a song that is boring? How long do you listen to it before you switch to the next song? Yeah, do you listen to the whole song? Or do you listen to like the first half a second and you've already decided boring, bang? Yeah. So our tolerance for music that we don't feel is interesting enough, we just get rid of it.
Would a solo count as a change?
Absolutely, yeah. It can be. So a solo, a contrasting can be a solo. Especially if the whole song's been vocal, 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 and then you get a solo. But it doesn't even have to be vocal. It can be an orchestral piece of music where the violins have the main melody all the time, and all of a sudden the trumpets take over. That creates contrast. So then the third one is variety. Oh, yeah, do you need me to go back up?
I need unity.
Unity. There we go.
You wouldn't do the last ones first, but I'm okay to go.
Yeah, okay, that's why I said just write down as much as you can, Marie. I'm recording it, so that I'll put it up for you. You can go back and watch it afterwards as well. So take down as much as you can. It's going to help it get into your head. When you go over this again, it's really going to help you to go, oh, right, now I understand. Just trust that whatever I'm telling you is actually going in. You might have to do what Miss Singleton says, which just put one hand like that, because that way when Vieira's voice comes in, it doesn't go straight out the other side. So she sometimes says to students, just stand there like that, and they just do it. They don't even ask. They just go like that. All right, I just want to make sure that the sound doesn't go back out again. And they don't get it, usually. Anyway, so if you're struggling, Marie, just put your hand up like that, you'll be fine. So variety. Who's gone to Krispy Kreme donuts before?
Oh my gosh, yes. That's my favorite flavor.
It's your favourite?
No, that's my favorite place.
Marie, I've never seen you so excited in a music class. So Krispy Kreme. What do Krispy Kreme make? What's their main thing that they make? Donuts. Are all the donuts the same?
Sometimes. No, they're actually different, but there's the specific ones that you buy the plain ones.
Right. Are they all the same or are there differences? Right. That's what we call variety. Right? They're all donuts. Like in the middle, it's the same donut, but they create variety. How do they create variety? You got the standard glazed donut, right? And then they've got the sprinkles. They've got the donutty thing. Okay.
Did you hear her? She goes, her mum asked her what she wanted for her birthday, and she said, just get a Krispy Kreme.
Just get like a box.
Just race her.
Yeah.
Mom
Yeah.
goes, what do you want for your birthday next week? I go, Mom, just to get me a Krispy Kreme.
Just a Krispy Kreme donut. One day when you get married, your husband's going to have you like that. Because he just, every time he mucks up, he's just like, here you go, donuts. And you're like, oh, I love you so much. Right, so, coming back to music, right? Because it's not about donuts. So, you need to apply that idea. In music, you have stuff that is the same, but there are little differences in there. There's variety. What are the things that create variety? So, think of what are the slight or subtle, S-U-B-T-L-E, subtle, which means like minor, changes in the music. All right. So from the outside, Krispy Kreme just makes donuts, but they don't just make donuts. Isn't that right, Marie? They make glazed donuts. They make the sprinkled donuts. They make the chocolate donuts. They have the caramel donuts. Man, they know their donuts. Cookies and cream.
Yes, sir.
Cookies and cream.
We cannot get any donut.
Right. So, musically, here is something that here are some of the things that create variety in the music. It's not a complete change like you have in contrast, and it's not repeated exactly the same like you have in unity. You have slight changes. For example, a verse with different lyrics. Right? Melody's the same, instruments stay the same, but they're singing the verse and the lyrics have changed. That could be something. You could repeat a melody or a theme. So repeating a melody, but in a different key, as in like maybe it's doing it in G major and it changes it to C major or another key altogether. Maybe in different instruments. So sometimes you have the melody and it's played, say, by the violins, and then the same thing is played, but it's played by the clarinets or the trumpets or whatever other instrument. All right, so it's kind of the same, but there's a change to it. That's the variety. Sometimes they decorate the music. And what I mean, the musical word for decorations is ornaments, ornamentation. Do you know, like if you get a Christmas tree, and a Christmas tree by itself looks great, but then you put some tinsel on it, it looks even better. But it's still the same Christmas tree, but it's got a bit of variety on it. And then if you put some baubles, it looks even better. So think of ornamentation as decorations. And this is where a singer will sing. I keep referring to pop songs for some reason, so I'm not sure why. But let's say a singer is singing the song, and the first time they go, I love you, yes I do. And the second time around they go, I love you, yes I do. Little variation, right? They've gone up a little bit on the next one. And then the third time they might go, I love you, yes I do. And they've gone up on that one. It's the same lines, more or less the same melody, but each time it's got a slight variation in there.
So how can we tell the difference if it's contrast or if it's variety?
Yeah, sometimes it's borderline. If it's variety, it sounds pretty close. If it's contrast, it is different. Completely different. For example, you're wearing a scarf and you've got it wrapped around your neck and both sides are coming out like that. If someone else wears the same scarf, but instead of having it coming down the side, all of it is off behind their neck, that's a bit of variety. If Marie's wearing a purple scarf, that's contrast because it's different. All right? But sometimes you can argue it a little bit both ways. It doesn't matter as long as you relate it back to what the concepts of music are asking. Make sense? What else? By the way, as a reference, pages 94, 95 from your textbook, really good. So, let's put this into a bit of context. I'll just go backwards a bit. Remember that 94 to 95 in your textbook. Remember that the oral questions, the oral exams are always about the concepts of music. Sometimes they throw a curveball and they'll say, talk about unity or contrast or variety, but it is still always about the concepts of music. And importantly, the thing to gain marks, the difference is provide detail. One way to provide the detail is go through the oral hit list. What is it? What is it doing? What is its role? How does it sound? Where did you hear it? And the bonus hit list question is, how does this relate to the question?
So,
All right, and ideally you relate it back to the question by answering all of these anyway.
So, when we were talking about the concepts of music, you told us different questions as well.
Yeah, because I make this up, so I change it around.
Like register being played, whether it's being played in the high register or low
Yep.
register.
So that would fit into what is it doing? Yeah.
And the dynamic volume.
Yep, that is also that you can be how does it sound, or again what is it doing? Same thing. So let's put this into context And what I'll do is, what's that thing called? The Aural Toolkit? What did I call that thing that I put up? The Aural Practice Kit. Year 12 Aural Practice Kit. What I want to do is just bring up some questions and we'll pull them apart. You don't even need to listen to the example and you can kind of know what it's actually asking you. So let's use this question, which is in the hit list, and I'm just going to copy it and stick it into this mind map. Let's go example. Okay, here we go. Here's the example. The following question, and this is like from an actual exam. The following question is based on an excerpt from Stop This World by Diana Krall. The song is called Stop This World. The artist that sings it or performs it is called Diana Krall. The question is asking you, discuss how unity and contrast are achieved in this piece. What is it always really asking you about? The concepts of music. So the question is really asking you, using the concepts of music, tell me what is the same, and using the concepts of music, tell me what is different. Make sense? It's always about the concepts of music. Going through the oral hit list, tell me what is the same, tell me what is different.
Same but a little bit different and just completely different.
Yes. Yeah, you can do this in a couple of ways. One way is, one way is that you just type up differences all the time. You divide your page in half, and you just go unity on one side of the page, contrast on the other side of the page. Another way is that you usually have the 2 pages. On one page, write unity. On the other page, write contrast, and then you just list all the things that are same and all the things that are different. Or you can just say, contrast is created through, spill it out. Let's make up some examples by going through the hit list. So unity is the same. Let's pretend that in the song, and make sure you go back and listen to the song, right? Because some of this is actually part of the song. Off the top of my head, I can't remember the instruments, but I know that it's got a singer, it's got a drums, playing like drums, light brushes, and it's got a piano or a guitar, maybe both, bass guitar as well. So, for unity, one thing that we could say is that the instruments stay the same. The instruments stay the same. So using the hit list, let me just minimize some stuff here. Hit list, where are you? Using the hit list, what is it doing? What is it? What is it doing? What is its role? How does it sound? Where do we hear it? How does it relate to the question? So we might start by answering how it relates to the question. I might say, unity is created through the use of instrumentation, which means the instruments. The bass guitar, drums, and piano provide the accompaniment throughout the whole song. Or maybe it's not, you won't hear the whole song, so maybe say the whole excerpt. Does that make sense? Unity is created through the use of instrumentation. The bass guitar, drums, piano provide the accompaniment throughout the whole excerpt. Now, if you really want to go to town with this, so let's go through the hit list and see what we've covered and what we haven't covered. So I'm just going to minimize that. Actually, let's drive that down here. Okay. What is it? It is the bass guitar, the drums, and the piano. What is it doing? It's providing the accompaniment for the whole excerpt. What is it doing and what is its role are kind of similar in this case, isn't it? Because the role is that it's doing the accompaniment. How does it sound? I haven't really answered how it sounds yet. What could we say? Make something up. What could you say in there to describe how it sounds? Okay, so how would you describe, imagine a light jazz, you know what, you could use those two words. The accompaniment sounds light, light in a blues jazz style. Does that make sense? What's meant by this example in light, it's not like a heavy metal song where like the drums are smashing. It's kind of like in the background. It's nice and light. Okay, so now have I answered how it sounds? Have I answered where did we hear it? Where did I say where did I hear it? Throughout the whole excerpt. Good. And have I related it to the question? How have I related it to the question? Because the first sentence is doing it. So in that statement there, we've given one example of how unity is created. Make sense? Let's create contrast as an example. Contrast. Let's pretend, well actually no, let's not pretend, this happens. In the song, the vocalist always has the main melody, and if I remember correctly, there's a piano solo or a guitar solo. Let's just say that, what instrument? Let's say piano. Let's pretend that after the second chorus, there is a piano solo that takes over the main melody. All right, so let's pretend it goes verse, chorus, then a piano solo. Okay, we might say contrast is created when after the second chorus, the vocalist, actually let's be detailed, right? The female alto singer stops singing and a piano solo which sounds bright and clear takes over the main melody. Does that make sense? Contrast is created when after, I don't know if when after is the right grammar. It doesn't, you know, we're not marking you for how beautiful your writing is. We're marking you on your musical observations, right? You can, but having said that, you want to articulate yourself as clearly as you can so that the examiners get what you're actually saying. Contrast is created when after the second chorus, the female alto singer stops singing and the piano solo, which sounds bright and clear, takes over the main melody. So, let's go through the hit list. Have I described what is it? What is it? Yeah, or more specifically, what's creating the contrast? The piano, so it's the piano. What is the piano doing? Playing a solo. What is its role? It's taken over what? The main melody. How does it sound? Where did you hear it? After the second chorus. How does this relate to the question? Contrast is created. If you fill up your 2 pages of observations that are at that detail, it's really difficult to not give you excellent marks for it. Because you're covering all of it. Are we talking about the concepts of music? Right. How are we talking about the concepts of music? So let's use this example. Tone color. So we're doing that one. All right. Am I talking about structure? How am I talking about structure? Because I'm talking about verses and choruses. I'm telling someone where it is. I haven't really said anything about duration or pitch. Oh, okay. What have you said? Oh, okay, good. All right. So yes, that relates to pitch. Good. So it's an alto singer. I'm telling the examiner about the range. Good. Good observation. I haven't said anything about dynamics. All right. So what if I added which sounds bright and clear, and I said something like, let's see, the female singer stops singing, and a piano solo which sounds bright and clear and plays at a mezzo forte level takes over the main melody. Bingo, I've just added dynamics. I've made it even harder for the examiner not to give me marks now. Make sense?
So are you going to mark them?
Yeah, myself and or Miss Gerardis and or Miss Singleton and or Miss McEwen, yeah. But effectively, that's the marking criteria is just, it always says, are they talking about the concepts of music and are they providing detail? The more, hey Miss, how are you? The more detail you give, the better everything is. Girls, the bell's going to go in a moment. Does that help?
Yeah.
Is it getting clearer and clearer for you? Yeah?
How do we get the video?
I'll put it on Edmodo, or I'll put it on Google Classrooms, or even for this one, because I'm testing it, I might put it on both.
Okay, yeah.
Make sense? Yeah, good. All right, let's pack it up, girls.